Before we get into tonight's topic of the Naga Thulean legends of Hitler's perfect race, let me just start by addressing an issue to those disgruntled viewers who thought their precious schemes and dreams to bury me in a pit of depression to rid the world, or at least YouTube, of my presence, and you know who you are. Did you think really I would go silently into that good night? I am Lucifer, the shepherd of lost souls, as far as many of my wayward viewers are concerned at this point in time. I am the keeper of secrets and scion of the dead, but above all these titles I am an angel of God, and the type of defeat that some of you have tried to lead me towards is not possible. I cannot turn away from those in need. I cannot leave the defenseless to suffer, just as I cannot be driven to suicide nor consciously commit an act of sin. Think on it for a tick. If I had died literally pronounced dead on the scene, dead, and was on my way to the same place that many have described as heaven in near-death encounters, but then had an epiphany of the stigmata and sent back, then what would that make me exactly by scriptural account? A Nephilim, genuine all-around, sent from heaven to earth. True-blooded Nephilim, and just as capable of taking on an entire army of soldiers. So if you want to defeat me, you may want to step up your playing pieces, cause you're gonna need to roll at least a d12 or higher before you dent my armor. Sorry for the feigned defeat, I just wanted them to get a little relaxed and sure of themselves before dropping that on them. Now on to tonight's topic: the Naga Thule tribes of the Younger Dryas people. As I had stated, Hitler's perfect race plans of world domination had stemmed from the discoveries made in his own homeland of Austria, where he had discovered traces of this culture's original home. In fact, the entire section of the OSS was originally created to gather intelligence from the religions around the world on this subject. Hitler had discovered something that led him to believe that this culture he called the Thuleans to hold some great power that was enough to conquer the world with. He believed if he could create a generation of purely genetic race of Germans that he could tap into that power. Madman or tumor-stricken dementia? Maybe both, but it is in this madman's rantings we can find much of the source of one of the 7 tribes of the Aztlantean's origins, and luckily over the decades afterward many secret societies such as the Aryan Brotherhood kept digging on this topic after Hitler's death, drawing together more and more tangible and physical proof to this tribe's existence and their migrational track that led me to discover them settling in India some 6,500 years ago as the Naga, using illusions and their ability of empathy over the forest animals to fool the surrounding cultures into believing them to be shape-shifting serpent men. Here is a definition of them from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Naga, Sanskrit, serpent, in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, a member of a class of mythical semi-divine beings, half human and half cobra. They are a strong, handsome species who can assume either wholly human or wholly serpentine form and are potentially dangerous but often beneficial to humans. They live in an underground kingdom called Nagaloka, or Petalaloka, which is filled with resplendent palaces, beautifully ornamented with precious gems. The creator deity Brahma relegated the Nagas to the nether regions when they became too populous on Earth and commanded them to bite only the truly evil or those destined to die prematurely. They are also associated with waters, rivers, lakes, seas, and wells, and are guardians of treasure. 3 notable Nagas are Sheshur, or Ananta, who in the Hindu myth of creation supports Narayana, Vishnu, as he lies on the cosmic ocean and on whom the created world rests; Vasuki, who was used as a churning rope to churn the cosmic ocean of milk; and Takshaka, the tribal chief of the snakes. In modern Hinduism, the birth of the serpents is celebrated on Naga Panchami in the month of Shravana, July and August. The female Nagas, Naginis or Nagas, are serpent princesses of striking beauty. The dynasties of Manipur in northeastern India, the Pallavas in southern India, and the ruling family of Thulean, ancient Indochina, each claimed an origin in the union of a human being and a Nagi. In Buddhism, Nagas are often represented as door guardians or, as in Tibet, as minor deities. The Naga king Mukalinda, who sheltered the Buddha from rain for 7 days while he was deep in meditation, is beautifully depicted in the 9th to 13th century Khmer Buddhas of what are now Thailand and Cambodia. In Jainism, the Tirthankara, savior, Parshvanatha, is always shown with a canopy of naga hoods above his head. In art, nagas are represented in a fully zoomorphic form, as hooded cobras having 1 to 7 or more heads, as human beings with a many-hooded snake canopy over their heads, or as half-human, with the lower part of the body below the navel coiled like a snake and a canopy of hoods over the heads. Often they are shown in postures of adoration, as one of the major gods or heroes is shown accomplishing some miraculous feat before their eyes. That is the definition of the Nagas from the Encyclopedia Britannica, but let's delve more into the history of the Naga, who were not serpents at all but a group of an ancient shamanistic tribe known as the Aztlanteans, or more accurately known as the Younger Dryas people. The origin of their migration began in the region of Germany and was a part of the race long sought after by Hitler and the Third Reich. Hitler believed that all true Germans derived from this perfect race he had discovered trace evidence of, called the Thuleans. It was his idea that if they could isolate the hereditary gene of the Thulean tribe and birth a race of Thulean bloodlines, then he would be able to tap into the ancient power of the Thulean culture. This idea spawned the endeavor of the blonde-hair, blue-eye perfect race of one of many of Hitler's schemes for world power and domination. He was not wrong in the basis of his understanding of this. The Thuleans did exist and originated there, then migrated down through Romania and into Turkey, continuing southeast across the deserts of Persia and into India, where they settled in the northern regions of Tibet and became known as the Naga. Now this migrational track is not certain, only speculated based on the fact that I am not sure when they began this migrational journey. Simulated continental drift maps point towards the only time, following the chronological history of the 7 tribes, that all of the known tribes that began this migration could have logically accomplished their journey, as their histories dictate would have placed their migration's journey at about 158 million years ago and would have ended in the 15th or 16th century when they finally returned to the region of their homeland, that was long lost and unreachable for a long time, here in North America. I say this because the continental drift simulation shows that around this time in Earth's history there was a land bridge that connected each of the areas of the world that it is said that they inhabited, and also coincides with the Mayan or Aztec legends of their people coming across this land bridge. However, the centralized area of their capital city would have been located along the northern Canadian coast, as at that time that region was connected to the region of northern Russia along its coast. After that, the simulation shows the collapse of the land bridge into the European continents and no other recent access to those key areas of inhabitation of their cultures are available after that. The return to America is marked by their culture's plans to reunite the 7 tribes into one people again, and that event was highlighted in Native American tales known as the Gathering of the Great Chiefs in the 15th century. The Indus tribe had journeyed here long ago before Leif Erikson's voyage, but had recorded encountering this tribe when he landed in Nova Scotia. Most likely they came across from Greenland, and it may be that the route Leif Erikson took to get to Nova Scotia was navigated by an ancient map he had found somehow in one of the Vikings' many raids. Just prior to the invasion of the Spanish conquistadors, it is said that a major gathering of the chiefs of every tribe gathered in the central region of America. Now this gathering is said to have been about the recent encounter with the Spanish settlers whom they drove away, but knew they would return with an army. However, during this great meeting it is said that tribes from foreign and unknown regions appeared randomly during this time. I also believe that this was where the Mayan culture disappeared to. That a majority of the Mayan population left for this last migration. What exactly transpired at this meeting is unclear, but the generalized impression is that it concluded falling short of their ancestors' expectations. The surviving tribes of the 7 original tribes were the Indus tribes, the Native Americans, and the Mayans. There is no records of the Thulean tribes having ever left the Tibetan region. Now back to the Nagas. These people were a culture of a once advanced civilization of people who knew the path of constellations, the other 8 planets within our solar system and their movements, as well as knowing geological events and weather patterns enough to know the coming danger of the massive continental drift increase that speed up the motion of the subduction zone plates to a point where the shelves were moving at speeds of close to 5 feet a day. They Mayans had an astrological telescope even that utilized light reflecting through crystal, where they had certain astrological events that marked coming catastrophes, and even had entire star chart marked with notches within these crystal skulls. The astrologer would place the skull in an observational tower that had small windows cut into certain regions of the walls. At a specific time of the year and day, the skull would be placed in the notch. The light would reflect through it and project an image of the precise area and position of how to adjust the telescope, along with a map that would be displayed on the walls around the observatory, marking what star system were what and observe any cosmological events that could threaten life on Earth. The Thulean tribe, who hid themselves in the superstitious belief of being serpent people, most likely through the effect of visual illusion, does have a legend of their possible journey towards their culture's destination, found in the half-sunken temple off the coast of Japan. It is believed that these Naga had discovered an ancient artifact that is described to be similar to that of a stargate that opened a portal into another dimension, a place they called Nagaloka. The portal was opened through the use of an amulet adorned by the high priest, and they returned to their own dimension, never to be seen again. The amulet of the priest became known as the Peruvian Sunstone. Then again, this may be a tale to cover their migrational tracks, considering we are dealing with a culture who was highly skilled in the art of illusion and merely used an already existing ancient temple for the evidence of their tale.
There is a 5th dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.